everyone, I'm Lien from BKForex. I've been trading Forex for more than 20 years, since 1999 to be precise. I started making markets in euros at JPMorgan and became a prop trader for the bank when it merged with Chase. From the very beginning of my trading career, I learned the importance of fundamentals and its potential to determine big sustainable moves in currencies. Russia's invasion of Ukraine is the perfect example. Support and resistance levels, trend lines, pivot points, overbought, oversold, none of that mattered as investors pounded the sell button. I could spend hours teaching you how to use fundamentals to trade Forex, but at the end of the day, it boils down to what I like to call the 3 M's of Forex trading: macro, micro, and monetary policy. These are the 3 fundamental drivers of short and long-term currencies moves. Macro pertains to the big stories. It is what makes the front pages and not just the business sections of newspapers. Russia's invasion of Ukraine, the trade war with China, gas prices hitting record highs, earthquakes, tsunamis, the big stories, some of which have an impact on the financial markets that can last for days, others that can last for weeks, months, and in the case of China's trade war, years. These are the stories that can trigger 1,000-pip moves in currencies. When it comes to macro, the most important tip I can give you is that when investors have a reason to sell, a reason to be nervous, this panic will always drive them to sell first and ask questions later. When that happens, the sell-off that you will see will be quicker and greater than you would anticipate. Daily trading ranges will expand and relief rallies will be faded quickly. Micro is the day-to-day economic data, some of which are important, others not so much. But these reports can determine the short-term moves of currencies that last 24 to 48 hours. This includes inflation data, non-farm payrolls, ISMs, PMIs, and GDP, along with retail sales. The third and final M is monetary policy. Micro is important because these are the data, the inputs that central banks use to determine monetary policy. And macro is important because it also affects monetary policy, whether central bank decides to raise or lower interest rates. Currencies are interest-bearing instruments, and institutional money flows from one part of the world to another in search of the highest yields. When economies are booming and data is good, it raises the chance of rate hikes. When growth is slowing and data is weak, it either prompts the central bank to hold back on tightening or in a slowdown mode may encourage them to lower interest rates. So back to our question, how to use fundamentals to trade Forex. If there's only one thing that you choose to follow, it should be monetary policy direction. But it is not only the direction of where interest rates are headed that counts, but whether they are more aggressive or less aggressive than investors had anticipated, and how far along they are in the tightening or easing cycle compared to other central banks. Sounds difficult, right? Don't worry. BK members can use my fundamental heat map, which I update every week. It encompasses my short and medium-term fundamental outlook with a brief explanation why. Economic data don't hold positions ahead of big numbers like CPI, NFP, or GDP. But once that data comes out, if the surprise is large enough, there could be a 24 to 48 hour continuation. And in terms of macro, always be aware of the macro stories. With that said though, COVID-19 and Russia's invasion of Ukraine, or even Russia's trade war, are once in a decade stories, or in the case of COVID, once in a century. But when they happen, nothing else matters because of the shock that it could potentially have on the global economy. I hope you enjoyed this video. And as a Surge prop trader, don't forget that you are entitled to 1 month free access to BKForex, which includes my fundamental heat map, where I synthesize all of the fundamental drivers for you in a simple bull or bear bias, all of my trade ideas, and live trading every single day with Boris. Thank you. Check us out on BKForex.com.